Hi Flosstube, my name is Kirsty, Crafting Kirsty on YouTube and on Instagram. This is a channel about cross stitching, quilting, crochet, any other crafts I fancy having a go at. And at the moment at the end, I'm putting in a tour of my garden and how it is or isn't flowering. It is June the 18th, 2021, and this is Flosstube number 6. So I'd like to start by saying hello to my new subscribers. My numbers are slowly creeping up. It's very kind of you to subscribe. I hope you come back. I hope you enjoy the channel. If you have any questions or any comments, please do leave them below. It's nice to get to know people and have a chat. Last month when I uploaded my video, it was an hour and 20 minutes long, so it was quite a long one. I had real issues uploading it. And so if I get to the same point this time where I'm struggling to get it to upload, I might end up putting things into 3 videos. So I would do 3 separate videos of the cross stitching, quilting, crochet, other crafts, and then the garden bit. So they'd all be a lot shorter, hopefully a lot easier to upload, but we shall see. Whatever appears on YouTube is what is going to be on YouTube. And with regards to the uploading difficulties, trying to clear some storage, I managed to delete a whole load of videos of all my previous points of finish for my last Flosstube. So there aren't going to be any photos inserted saying this is where I was last time, because I haven't got it anymore. So you're just going to have to use your imagination. What has been happening here? I think it was the middle of May when I last spoke to you. So my partner turned 50 and celebrated by running a marathon on his birthday. I'm not sure that celebrated and running a marathon should ever appear in the same sentence, but he did. He did very well. He hobbled over the line. Unfortunately, he had fallen over on the farm earlier in the week, and we had a whole load of, oh, should I do it, should I do it, should I do it? And I thought, well, we've spent 12 weeks listening to you train and moan about your train and talk about your food, so you can go and do it. I'm sympathetic like that. Anyway, he did very well, hobbled over the line at the end, and then probably said, oh, I'm sure I could get a better time. I might have to do that again. So we could have a new runner and hobby in the family. And the twins have turned 17, which of course means they're now having driving lessons and we're driving with them to school and back. So if by the next time you see me, I'm grey and hoarse, it's because we've had quite a few near misses and I seem to spend my entire time going, for God's sake, would you slow down? So, but you know, they're improving every day. They couldn't get any worse. So there's only one way they can go. I have spent the last 3.5 weeks, and when I say 3.5 weeks, it is 7 days a week, basically pulling weeds out of our farm. So at this time of the year, there's a particular weed that shows called blackgrass, which the sprays, the chemicals no longer touch it. So the only way to get rid of it before it comes rampant all over the farm is to pull it out by hand. John has got the best eyesight. Unfortunately, I have. So whilst he does a lot of it, I also do a lot of it. And I think we worked out that roughly I've walked about 100 miles in the last 3.5 weeks, which I know some of these long distance walkers do that in a weekend and don't think anything of it. I wasn't that fit when I started, and I certainly felt it for the first week. In the last couple of weeks, it's been absolutely fine. And it started in the rain. Oh God, miserable. And then we've had boiling hot sunshine, which yeah, is great, but equally hard work. So, but it's finished now. It's finished for this year. And it will soon roll round to next May and I will be back doing it again. So as a result of that, as a result of me having to actually go and do some work, which is, you know, quite horrific, I've had a distinct lack of ability to watch Flosstube. There's a lack of progress in my stitching because it's obviously inflicted on everything else, but there isn't a lack of purchasing ability. So there's still quite a lot of haul to show. I'm going to start out with some shout outs to more English Flosstubers I have found that have come up. The first one is a young lady called Charlotte, and I don't know how you say this, I say it Clue, but I think it's actually capital C-L-U, high heel stitcher. She has a few full coverages. She's just finished, well, I say just finished, a couple of videos ago now, she'd finished a mirabilia that was absolutely fantastic. She's got 2 stockings on the go, and she does buy a lot of very nice high heels, which is always good to see. The next one is Claire from Crafty Magpie. Now Claire has an Etsy shop as well, Magpie Minders. And at the moment, her most recent Flosstube was a whip braid, and she had an ink circles piece, a monthly sampler on the go, and this French graph chart from Mystic Stitches ink, which I'd never seen before, but it's quite stunning to see it being stitched and come to life. There's Heather's Crafty World. So Heather was the girl on the video. Wes gets talked about a lot. I'm assuming Wes is her partner. Otherwise she's got a very good cat that can stitch a lot of pieces, and they are both into their full coverages. So there was an awful lot of full coverages to see there. Next is Home Sweet Home Handmade. And the lady on that channel is Natalie and Betsy Cat. You have to include Betsy Cat in the title because Betsy Cat is always there, asleep, looking, you know, perfect. Natalie stitches lots of smaller charts, as in she's just recently, in her latest video, she showed a finish of heart in hand finish, and she has some Plum Street samplers on the go. She has a vintage tulip design, a lot of sort of, I don't think she has full coverage on the go, but a lot of sort of smaller, pretty, really nice charts. Yeah, let's go and check Natalie out. The next is Bernie, who I found recently. She is hooking and stitching, is her cross stitch channel on YouTube. But she does have an Etsy shop because she is a very good crocheter. And she is on Instagram, she is at Little Grey Hook, and her Etsy shop is also Little Grey Hook. So Bernie is doing a lot of full coverages, and she, at the moment, well, certainly during May Mania, she was working through Brooks Books Advent Animals that I've seen a few people doing, and I think she'll be bringing them back out in July for Christmas. So yeah, she has some nice pieces. My most recent find was Karoline Kemp. She did a bit of a whip braid and a bit of finishes parade just recently. She's fully finished this Afghan, which I think she finished it in the early 2000s, but she's only just fully finished it, of Dragon Virtues. So that's quite interesting to see. She has a couple of blackbird designs, and I was flicking, because I'd watched one of her videos, and then I was flicking through last night as I was trying to write some notes down. And to be quite honest with you, I've never seen a lot of the charts or heard of a lot of the designers that she does, but they are really, really nice, all very pretty, and yeah, it's worth going and seeing because she does do a lot of different stuff that you don't normally see. I've already mentioned Kerry in Stitches with her Etsy shop, Black Pear Stitchery, and she is now on to, she's now started doing Stitch With Me's as well, and she's on to number 3, Stitch With Me number 3. Then we have Kitty Stitcher, who is another Kerry. This is a lady with lots of cats, and she has a catio. I do love her catio. I've never heard of a catio before until I started watching Kerry. So yeah, and she has a lot of full coverages on the go, and she also is involved in some sales, and her mum also has a reasonably regular appearance with her needlework as well, and her mum is, I think her mum only stitches monogamously, so she always gets an awful lot done, but yeah, they're worth watching. Then we have the Lancashire stitcher, Lynn. Everyone knows who Lynn is, but obviously she has now started up her finishing business, which is Lynn's Heartfelt Finishing. I think Lynn has hundreds of whips and they're all very different, and again, a lot of them are ones that charts I hadn't seen, designers I didn't know of, but I think probably one of the ones which you see all the time is the American flag, where they've got the states and the stars, and that's, yeah, she's nearly finished that, so that's worth a look. And then, is this the last one or is there one more? I think there could be. Oh, right, okay. So then we've got Lisa S Stitches, who I don't think I've actually watched one of her channels yet. She popped up and I sort of subscribed and thought I'll go and look at her later. But flicking through it, she's doing part of the Caterpillar Cross, or she's just finished one of the Caterpillar Cross Stitch sals, which is a beach theme, not one of the trees. It's a beach theme, which is really pretty. She's doing a Little Dove Designs year monthly samplers. I think she's doing them individually. She's also got a Handmade on the go, so do go and check her out. And then there's Davina of Little Workroom Crafts. Davina does a bit of everything. She does knitting, stitching, dressmaking, quilting. I mean, just about everything. She seems to turn her hand to it. She does have an Etsy shop, which is Little Workroom Crafts, where she seems to sell a lot of drawstring project bags. And just recently in her latest video, she announced that she is about to release her first cross-stitch pattern. No, not a cross-stitch pattern, I'm sorry, her first crochet pattern. And then finally for this week, or for this month, Lizzie Fisher, who is this Mrs. Fisher Stitches. Lizzie this year seems to be doing she is doing the Modern Folk Embroidery Sale. She's just finished a Bothy Threads piece and has a couple on the go. She has a historical sampler company piece, and she's also doing the Hello Pumpkin caterpillar cross stitch piece. And I assume she'll be doing the other trees. I don't know, maybe she won't. But anyway, those are the next lot of UK Flosstubers that I've found. So I hope you go and check them out and go and watch, and hopefully you'll find somebody that you enjoy watching. So at that point, my notes run out, so there's going to be a lot of umming and ahhing. But I will start with Happy Mail. So my friend Chris, very kindly, hello Chris, sent me, she texted me to say that she had a couple of pieces of 28 count fabric and she doesn't stitch on it anymore. Would I like it? So I said, yes, please. So I got this lovely card. And this was a piece of 28 count cashel linen. Don't know what it is. So that's lovely. And on this one, I got 28 count Wren linen from Picture This Plus. And look, she even left the needle in it. So I hope that isn't your only needle, because you're not getting it back. So yeah, so those two lovely pieces of fabric, which I'm sure I will find something to do with. And then included in my little package, she very kindly sent me some chocolate covered cashew nuts, which, have gone, surprisingly enough. And she sent me some scraps, because I think I was showing in my last Flosstube, I'd shown a book. And the name of it's gone completely. Very scrappy quilt. It's just a very scrappy quilt. So she sent me some scraps of fabric to put into my scrappy quilt, which is lovely. But I want to see Chris's quilt that contains this piece of fabric. This is just amazing. This is Alice in Wonderland fabric. Well, it's what reminds me of that. Reminds me of the Cheshire Cat. I don't know why. Anyway, so thank you very much, Chris. That was lovely. And I will get to using those soon. So on to my cross stitch. As I have said, I haven't got any previous photos to put in, and I haven't rewatched my videos, so I can't remember what I have and haven't got up to. We will start with my Hade. This is Mini Garden Gate by Amy Stewart. That is what it will eventually look like. Sorry, excuse me, let's just move those out of the way and that out of the way. And this is what I've got. I think I'd certainly finished this side the last time. So I'm hoping that this is all reasonably new. So I've got a couple of new bird houses in there. As I said, a lot of my stitching has suffered over the last couple of weeks. I had managed to, the row that I'm on now, halfway through now, I've done it in 2 different bursts, and I suddenly realised that I managed to repeat this row here. I hadn't folded the paper over to move down to the next row. It's a bit annoying, or it's a bit worrying that it took me 2 times of stitching on it, and it wasn't until I'd finished the second session of stitching on it that I realised I'd gone wrong. So I had to frog it all, and I've stitched it back in again. I am struggling now with this piece, not with the stitch itself, just the size of fabric. At the moment I have a little sort of lap seat stand, so it's got a piece of wood that goes underneath your leg, and then it's a holder, and I have this in a hoop. And that works fantastically, because then I can stitch with 2 hands, and I like that on this Hade. It's, I just find it easier to count and everything. But I'm now getting too much fabric here for it to sort of, for the clamp to hold the hoop. And I've got another couple of big starts planned and I am contemplating buying, so I'm going to put this down, contemplating buying a lap frame where it sort of is the L shape and it sits either side of your leg, and then it's a rectangular that's in front of you. So if anybody has, I mean, I have found one on Etsy from Yarn Stories, which is in Lithuania, that looks very good. There's obviously, is it Dubko from Russia, hideously expensive. I'm not paying that, I'm afraid. But if anybody knows of any other stores where I might find something, particularly where, if there was one in England that I could actually go and see, that would be quite good. Anyway, so that was Mini Garden Gate. Again, I'll just keep chugging away on that, hopefully stitching the correct line in the correct place this time. My next pattern is Sleepy Hollow from the Cricket collection. I think the last time I showed it, I had just finished this page. And I am now, we are now here. So I've done, so I need to move back a bit, I think, actually. So I've done, that's the page I had finished, and I'm now finished half the trees. I've got Ichabod Crane on his horse galloping away, and I'm just filling in basically the hill in the middle. So I'm still enjoying this stitch. I think Lauren of Flossabilities has started to kit hers up, so that'll be exciting. It'll be quite interesting because she has gone for the overdyed, and I struggled with the church by not going for the overdyed, so it'll be interesting to see what hers comes out like. I should imagine it'll come out a lot better. But these are all the flosses for that. And yeah, so as you can see, I've done him, and I'm now working my way across this way. My next piece, oh, I haven't got one of my pieces out, excuse me. Back again, sorry. Thought I'd got myself all prepared, and I haven't. So my next piece, Rustle, is Waxing Moon Designs, monthly sampler. This is February. I have just about been managing to finish these one a month. This one hasn't been finished. It hasn't been ironed, but there we go. And this is this one so far. So the board meets up, everything meets up. I am off somewhere, but it doesn't seem to be affecting anything else. So there we go. I do enjoy these, but there's a lot of stitching in them. And there's quite a lot of, you know, sort of you've got border, top and bottom that's completely filled in. And I've got an awful lot of snow to go. Lots of white stitching. Right, my next project is Summer Storm from Alicia Paulson Posey. And I think Kelly, the dog-eared stitcher, I know went and found and has bought this pattern, so I'll be excited to see your progress. And I assume, because you've bought the pattern rather than the kit, which means that you get to go and buy the flosses and you know what is supposed to go where, because I still have one floss. This is the kit that came where the flosses are just labelled light pink, dark pink, middle pink, slightly darker than the last dark pink. And I still have a floss that I have no idea where it's going to go. In fact, it's probably not going to go anywhere. There we go. So this is my progress now. I've finished the house, the washing line, the quilt, the large flower, and I'm starting along the bottom. I'm going to push for a finish, probably within the next week or so on this. It does actually stitch up quite quickly. It is very pretty. The colours are fantastic. And yeah, so that's that. And that's obviously on, I think this is on a 32 count fabric. It just says 32 count fabric because it was kit piece. My next project is part of the Blackbird Designs Weekend Sal that is hosted by Brenda and the Serial Starter. And I am doing, sorry, let me just make sure the chart is covered. I'm doing First Winds of Autumn, which is this strawberry. And it is out of the Winds of Autumn book. This was their latest book that got released last autumn, I suppose. And this is being done on 32 count vellum. Can you see it? Right, so I finished outlining the bird. I finished the sort of a vine going across here, and I've stitched all the inner pieces of the bird. Really enjoying this stitch. It's tactical stitching. I've got a lot of tactical stitching going on now and for the next month. So I'm trying to leave myself just fill in for over the summertime when we're harvesting, because it's a lot easier if you already know what colour you need and you can just, when you get a bit of time to do it. And these are the colours. Again, I've just gone for DMC, but they are stunning. Oh, they're lovely. My next piece is the 2020. So I work on the Blackbird Design Sale on the first weekend of the month. This piece is the 2020 Pandemic Sampler from Sassy Girl on Instagram, or Christy Stevenson. I stitched this on the 1st and the 8th of the month, and Emily of Eclectic Possessions and Jen Lee of 24 Hours or Quirks and Stitches were starting this together as a sale, sort of a birthday sale, and so I and a lot of other people jumped on board. So I only work on it twice a month, but I'm really enjoying it. This is 25 count over 1. Again, I haven't used the called for DMC. I've got as close to as I can do. I just pulled from my stash. I had a lot of DMC from a project left over, and I thought I'm going to use that rather than buying some more. Whoops. That was going quite well as well till I dropped it. Yeah. So I've had to change. Let's see what it looks like on the video again. This house is supposed to be white. So there's a white house and a red house. The white just wasn't showing on this fabric, so I've gone for, it's a very sort of silvery blue. It looks a lot darker, unfortunately, on there, but at least it shows up. Anyway, so that's quite enjoyable. So my next project was a new start. I had mentioned it in my previous Flosstube. It was for the dark October, so I stitched on it on the 13th and the 31st. And I had two choices, or two that I picked out, and I went for this one, Apple, by, I'm saying Nimue. Don't know how to say it, I'm sorry. I've had to frog a bit of this. So these are the colours, fab colours. And here we are, I'm doing this 25 count again over 1. So it's going to be absolutely diddy. And I've got a couple of little leprechauns, elves, pixies. Yeah, could be any of those. But I had, in this bit up here, I'd done a whole load of one side of the apple, and then it had gone wrong. So, so I had to frog it all out. I am struggling. Once I get into the swing of stitching this, I enjoy it, but I am struggling a bit with it, I have to say. I don't know if it's just because the colours are so similar and I'm doing it over 21. It's quite a hard chart to read. I've had to photocopy it, enlarge it and all the rest of it, so it's not the easiest of charts to follow. My next stitch, date stitch, is on, I stitched this on 24th, 25th and 26th. So essentially for 3 days of Christmas, because I wasn't getting anything done in the one day. And this is Merry Christmas from Our Forest Embroidery. And this is a stitch which I always sort of think, oh, when I pick it up, and then when I actually start stitching it, I really like it. And so this month I got the R done. So this is 32 count Belfast linen, and I'm doing this 1/2. So as you can see, I've got the M, the R, ignore that. I've got the M, the R, and the E. So I've still got quite a long way to go. But it is an enjoyable stitch. I am enjoying doing it. Then I had a new start. I don't know why, because it's not as if I haven't got enough projects on the go already. But I've been watching Long Dog Stitcher on Flosstube, and she was talking away about the Long Dog leap year, long dog leap year sale. So I think they'd started a project this leap year on the 28th, and they were giving themselves 4, as in a long dog project, and then they were giving themselves 4 years to finish it for the next leap year. So I've jumped on the bandwagon a bit, but not quite. Got one foot on there and the other foot still pedaling on the road. So I have decided, because I've had this for a while and I absolutely love it, and it was kitted up. So I decided to start quilts from Long Dog Sampler. And I have to say, it does seem to be, if there's a quilt in it, I seem to have to stitch it. And particularly if there's a horse and cart in it, I have to stitch it. Love, love, love this piece. And I'm really enjoying stitching it. And I'm stitching it on the 28th and the 29th of each month is how I'm going to sort of try and make a little bit of progress. So these are the colours, again, all DMC. I can't remember now, I've only got the front page here, sorry. I can't remember what, I think it's charted actually in DMC. I could be wrong. These are the colours I've chosen, they're absolutely fantastic. This is being done on 27 count antique white Linda. And so it is 2/2, and that is my start so far. So I really, really like it. Oh, here we go. Yes, it is. It's charted. Well, it's charted in DMC, Gentle Art, or Gentle Arts. And so I've gone for the DMC. So I really, really like it. And it is, I mean, it's, you know, Long Dog Sampler. It is big. But that is quite blocky. Colour-wise, it's quite blocky. So sort of when you get to these hearts, yes, the hearts are all different colours, but there is only one colour per heart. Yeah, anyway. So I'm enjoying that, and I'm pleased to have started it. I've been wanting to find an excuse to start it for a long time, and now I've found it. So that is the end of all my current whips and my progress so far. I'm sorry I didn't have any photos to insert. I have a couple of plans. So my first plan is, it's my birthday in July. So before I'm back for my next sort of monthly 5-week, possibly 6-week update, I'll have had a birthday. And I saw a post on Instagram from the Imperfectly Perfect Stitcher, and it's her birthday at the beginning of July. And she had put out that she was going to start Dutch Beauty. And would anybody like to join her or start another BAP, Big Asked project? And there is a hashtag, which I can't remember what it is now. And we'd all sort of, you know, just stitch along and celebrate her birthday. I'm going to celebrate my birthday. And it was a good excuse to start a chart. I bought this ages ago. I absolutely love it. But it is huge. Ellen of Maximum Cross Stitch Power Hour has just finished hers. She did it in a year. No way I'm going to get this done in a year. But I've kitted it up. These are the flosses. Lovely, lovely. Very, very muted colours. Yeah, really nice. Very pretty. And at the moment, I think I'm going to do it 25 count over 1. I've opted for that because I think to be honest with you, at the moment I tend to either stitch on 25 count over 1 or 27, 28 count. And I think 27, 28 count where it'll be over 2, because over 1 is just going to be a little bit too much like hard work. I think it's going to end up being sort of curtain sized. So yeah, so I think I'm going to try for 25 count over 1. I'm just going to do it on a very plain antique white or cream. I did tea dye some and then put some of these colours on it, and you just lost the colours in there. So I think it will just be on an antique white. So I will have started that by the next time you see me. I won't have got very much done. I'll probably have got one little section of vine done or something. And then the other start, which actually isn't going to start until August now, but I thought, well, I might mention it because hopefully some other people might join in as well, is after my last Flosstube, Elaine of Ellie Welly Stitcher contacted me saying, oh, I absolutely love the fancy blanket chart you bought from Pinebury Lane, and I've bought it, do you want to stitch along? And I messaged back saying, yeah, I'd love to do a stitch along, just so long as we can have a day a month, or I can set a date to it, so I touch it each month. then I'm quite happy, just whenever. Do you have anything coming up? And then I suppose because everything's on mixed, so that was on YouTube, and then I don't know, I don't know why I didn't, well, I do know why actually. I suppose in her next Flosstube she talked about it, and I've only just watched her latest Flosstube, so this was 3 weeks ago that she sort of said, yes, I've got the chart and we can start it on my husband's birthday. And of course I was watching it yesterday going, oh my God, we've probably missed her husband's birthday. She probably thinks I'm ghosting her, or whatever trendy term it is now, which I wasn't in the least. So I texted her and apologised profusely and said, I really want to start it, let's just pick a date. So we've picked the 1st of August, we're going to start. This is quite appropriate. I am going to put Harvest Dance instead of Fancy Blacket across here. So yeah, so if anybody else has this chart and, you know, wants to stitch along with us, that'll be great. I don't think we've got a hashtag yet. We probably won't have a hashtag, but you can think about us whilst you're stitching it. So that, it won't be started until August, but I just thought I'd warn you in case you have the chart and want to kit it up, or in case you want to buy the chart and kit it up and join us. So that is it for stitching, apart from my haul, and there is quite a bit of haul, and there's some very exciting bits of haul. So the first things I've showed, Kathy Barrick put a post out on Instagram that she was having 20% off in her Etsy shop on PDFs. So I thought, well, it would be rude not to. So I've bought a Fine Farmhouse quilt. I've bought Autumn Harvest quilt. They haven't all got quilts on them. And I bought the Christmas Witch. I love this. It's such cool. So those have been purchased. I found, well, I say I found, I think it is still readily available. I just hadn't really sort of registered it or come across it previously. Plum Street Samplers, Bounty Sampler, which I think is very, very pretty. This will go on my country sampler wall. Yeah, when I actually start stitching any of them and finishing them and putting them up on the wall. I then bought, again, stash unload, I found Plum Tree Cottage, which I think is very, very pretty. I'm not sure I'll put the phrase at the top or the wording at the top, but I just thought it was very sweet. This is a Rosewood Manor chart. And it was one of those conversations backwards and forwards, like, oh yeah, I bought it, thank you very much, here's my address, blah, blah. And then something, I think I might watch your Flosstube. And so I actually purchased that from Shaz Bruce. So hello, Sharon. Thank you very much for sending on your chart. And she did send me put a little note in with it, so that was very sweet. So there we go. And then I was buying the floss for my Dutch Beauty, and I have seen this Abbey Rose design. Is it Abbey? Yes, Abbey Rose design, Merry Christmas. I think about 2 years ago this came out and it was very, very popular. And then last year I kept on seeing people stitch it and thinking, oh, I really need to get that. I really need to get that. But I can never remember who it was by, and I just couldn't find it. Because you put Merry Christmas in, or, you know, Merry Christmas cross stitch pattern in, and thousands of them come up. And I bought this from Peakside Needleworks. Actually, it's the first time I've ever ordered from them. Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, so I've got that. Really pleased I've got that. And then my next purchase is a pity purchase. So if you stay on for my quilt section, you'll hear my tales of woe with regards to my quilts. But at one point I'd done a whole load of work and then I had to rip it all out. And so I thought, well, I'll sit down and watch Flosstube whilst I'm ripping it all out. And I was watching Amy Loves Toads. And she has a lot of different projects on, but one of the projects that she's been doing that I've seen, she's been showing a lot recently because she does an animal a month, is this Lakeside Needlework Woodland chart, it's called. Now there's a lot of backstitch in this, but when you see Amy's, it is fantastic. Really is so pretty, and I always comment on it every time. I always go, I know I say it every time, but I do love that piece. And she was showing it and I was ripping it to my fabric. I thought, I'm buying it, I don't care. So I bought it, and I bought it as a kit. So it came with all the floss, and it also came with the fabric. The fabric I'm not, so what is this? It's from Lakeside Needlecraft exclusive woodland. I'm assuming, I think I would have gone for 28 count. It's a printed one actually, so it's this colour on the front, plain on the back. Not 100% sure about the fabric. I should imagine when the cross stitch is on it, it will look fantastic. But I have to say, even in the picture, it doesn't look that green. I don't know, we'll see. So, and I don't know when I'm going to start it. That is a while away yet. I then decided to get myself some fabrics. Just trying to find slightly different colours. I've got quite a lot of samplers that I want to do. And I just want some plain, but just slightly coloured fabrics to do them on. So I went through the wool warehouse because I was, did these come from the wool house? Yes. Yes, did they? Yes, they must have done because that's the name on the receipt. Sorry, having a minute there. So I bought these from the wool warehouse, and they come in these sort of packets, which are the sort of packets you can get from Hobbycraft, but actually these are much larger pieces, and they obviously have a huge, far more variety of colours, types, counts, etc, etc. So this first one I bought is £8.99. So this is Lugana, 25 count Lugana in the shade Potato. So it's just off-white. It's fabulous, and as you can see, it's nice. It's, what is it? 19 by 27 inches. So it's a decent sized piece, particularly if you're using it over one, you can get quite a big chart on there, I would hope. I then also got taupe, 25 count Lugana taupe. So this is just darker. So that's quite good. Same size again. And then I went for yellow, and it is quite yellow. I think I'll probably end up having to sort of dunk it in some tea or some coffee just to, it's not showing up there. This is, there we go. This is that yellow. It is yellow. It is sunshine egg yolk yellow. But it's very nice, and as I said, with a bit of, possibly just to dull it down a bit with a bit of tea or coffee, it will be good. So again, that was 25 count Lugana. And then I did a piece a while ago on, oh, I've forgotten something. Sorry, I've just seen I've forgotten something. I did a piece a while ago on 28 count cashel linen, which was a piece that I had bought from Hobbycraft, and I really enjoyed working on it actually. I really liked it. So I bought another piece. Again, this is a bit bigger, and this is mushroom. So again, this is just sort of, to my mind, a really good sampler colour. So those were the bits of fabric I bought. So I'm really pleased with those. Now, these tend to cut, you do get different sizes available. I do think a lot of them tend to be pre-cut already, but I think you can email and ask for a specific cut. I think, don't quote me on that, but I think you can. So that was the wool warehouse. So that was really good, really quick shipping. In fact, I think that came within 24 hours. I think I ordered it at the lunchtime and it should arrive the next morning. And then my final piece of cross stitch haul, really quite excited about. I was watching Christina of Whilst Iris Naps, her latest Flosstube, and she was showing a Santa Claus piece, and she said that she had bought, the Santa Claus piece had come from this book, which is 101 Best Loved Designs from Cross Stitch and Country Crafts, and it's a real 80s style book. Anyway, so she was showing the piece that she was halfway through stitching, or yeah, halfway through. And then she was flicking through a few more charts in here, and she showed this really nice Dutch sampler that I was thinking, oh yeah, that's nice, you know. And in the back of my mind, I was thinking, I'm sure I've seen that book in a charity shop near where my mum lives, years ago now. And I thought, well, I'll just keep it in my mind to look at it the next time we go. If it's still there, you know, have a bit more of a flick through, because I did like the Dutch sampler. And then Christina said that, oh, and there's this chart in here which has been having a bit of a revival recently. And it's the Amid Amish Life. Now, I don't have unicorn charts. There are far too many nice charts out there to be flapping away about the one chart that you can't get hold of, to be quite honest with you. But I have seen a few people stitching this, and I have really, really liked this. And every time I see someone stitch it, I look for it and I can't find it, and I can't find it. And so when she said, oh, and this happens to be in this book, I was like, oh, everything. The wine went up in the air, the dog was thrown off the sofa, I was launching across the table to try and get to my phone. And of course she was saying, oh, and I'll link it below if I can find it in Amazon. I'm thinking, no, don't link it, I want to buy it. By the time I've got around to watching this and buying it, everyone will have purchased it. But I was really delighted that I did manage to get a copy. I do love this piece. It is a big piece, it is full coverage. Well, I think apart from very possibly the top bit of sky, it is full coverage. It will take me a long time. I think it's absolutely fantastic. And there are some other really nice, quite 80s style, but actually I still like them, patterns in here. There's certainly another, well, the Dutch sample I want to do, and then there's another sort of sunflower pattern, and then there's a couple of smaller. Yeah, so hopefully I will get some good use out of this book. So excited. So I had this in it. And when she just sort of casually said, oh, you know, and it's got this, and I was like, ah, that's the one I want. Oh my God, quick. So yeah, so that's the end of my haul. I do have some finishes, which I should have shown earlier, and I completely forgot. And I hope I can remember the details because I haven't got the chart out with me. So I have made myself a whole load of little pillows. So this was a design or a pattern that I downloaded from Etsy from Little Stitcher shop. And the pattern itself is called Happy Halloween. And when you look at it, it's all in one piece in a frame where each piece is individually framed. So it's a frame that's sort of segmented up. And I thought I'm going to do them as little pillows. So, and also with this, sorry, before I show you, also with this, I think there's 12 charts, and I had 6 pieces of fabric. So last year, or maybe it was 2 years ago, I was doing a sal. I was part of a monthly sal from Patchwork Rabbit. And she sent out a birthday voucher for me. And I thought, well, I don't know, I think it's probably 10% off. And I thought, well, I can use that to buy some more fabric because we don't have LNSs in England. You can't really see the fabric, or you can't see the fabric. So it's, for me, I was trying to buy little swatches of it and then decide which ones I like and which colours I want to get, and then purchase larger amounts from that way. So I thought, well, that's quite good. And I ended up buying, as I said, 6 fat 8s, and each fat 8th fitted 2 patterns on. So that was quite convenient. So we have a cat. We have a matching. We have a spooky tree in a graveyard. These are all 28 count and they're all off. I really struggle. There's not one of these that is perfect, basically. I mean, not that you can tell, fortunately, but there isn't one that I didn't just go, oh, for goodness sake, I've miscounted somewhere. Fantastic pumpkin. Love the colour of that witch. These are all DMC. Stitch these all with DMC. And then finally this piece. So obviously this is a cauldron on a fire. However, when you're looking at a black and white chart, I couldn't see it for the life of me. I could not see it. For some reason, I was convincing myself that this was some sort of strange toad or frog head, and that was its mouth, and it had 8 eyes or however many eyes it's got in there. And I worked from the top down, and it wasn't until I started filling in the flames that I went, oh, it's a cauldron. Everyone else could see it straight away. I couldn't see it. But as I said, this is all one pattern. I just did them individually as little pillows. and I have backed them with, we have that fabric, and I've done, some of them I've stitched shut and some of them I've done like this, Norrie Holt style, but not very smartly. I didn't bother putting the applique over the top, I'm afraid. I was thinking, oh, I'm going to be primitive. My style's primitive. I think in reality, my style is, oh, that'll do. Bored of this now, I want to go on to the next thing. Sorry, showing you the front again, you don't need to see that. So we've got some skulls on there. Spiders on the back of that one. A mustardy coloured sort of a, it's not wool, brushed cotton, I think is what it is. Oh, and so I have lots of the backing fabric left over. I deliberately bought a bit more so that I can make a sort of table runner with it to start having a little bit of a Halloween display. But so those are my finishes out of my bag of shame. I have got another finished. So yeah, so all together. I won't display them like that. I'll spread them out a bit more. Oh. So there we go. I think that is it for the cross stitching. My plans basically are to keep on stitching on things and obviously to have my new start. I think I'll do a bit of tactical stitching this month of trying to get things outlined so that, as I said, during harvest time, I can just sit and stitch really quickly without a pattern. And I can also just put it down the minute that I have to go. So that is probably what I'm going to aim for this month, is just to try and get, so I mean, like on that blackbird with the blackbird designs with the blackbird, I won't fill that in, I'll leave that for harvest and just get a few more outlines done. So I think that's it for my cross stitching. So if you're leaving me here, thank you very much for joining me. As I said, please leave a comment, please subscribe, please like, ask any questions. And I hope to see you probably middle to late July will be my next update. So take care, bye-bye. Right, we're on to quilting. I have had a trauma with my quilting. So I'm doing the Etoile Rouge quilt from Catherine Kerr, which basically you get a block a week, and after a year you've got a full quilt. And for the last month, 2 months, I've been working on the keystones and the sashing. So you put 3 strips together and then you cut the individual sort of 1 1/4 or whatever it is, whatever size it needs to be, and then you attach the 3 things. And so I'd done the 2 outer ones, I needed 124, or no, 128, and the inner ones I needed 64 of. And I cut them all out. I started to sew the first 2 together, and I was really having to stretch and pull at them to get them to match up. And I was like, oh my God. So I put them, I did eventually manage to get them all together. And then I went to put the 3rd row on, and there was just no way they were going to fit. It was just, there was something wrong somewhere. So I had a good look at it, and I decided that my middle row, I had cut the middle bit a bit too big, which is why it wasn't just connecting up nicely. So I put the middle rows away and I re-stripped and re-sewed the middle set, the 2 greens and the gold, and cut another 64 pieces. Started to put them together, and it still wasn't going together properly. And I was checking the pattern, and I said, oh my God, I was getting really cross about it. And eventually I came to the conclusion that I had given myself too scant a 1/4 inch seam on this one. Basically, these 2 were fine, but this middle one, my seam just wasn't quite right. So re-strip more, cut more, and they fitted absolutely great. I was like, woohoo, at last I finished, thank God for that. I went to iron them with the sashing, to start attaching them to the sashing. I went, and basically the keystone is supposed to be the alternate to the sashing. So I've put these all together, not incorrect. I don't know quite how I managed it. So basically it should be, sorry, I have actually taken them apart. So essentially what should happen is you should get that to that, and then a third section here, which is a repeat of the 2 greens at the top and the bottom. So can you see how it sort of splits it up? So on each corner of each block, it will be split up by this different keystone. So last night I sat and ripped all, well, 62, because I've still got 2 of them here left, so I could show you. Well, the first thing first was I was like, I'm just leaving it. I don't care. Whatever. Sod it. I've had enough of this now. It's going to stay as it is. Left it alone. Didn't really touch it. And then went back to it a couple of days later and thought, actually, if I take off one side, then I end up with the correct piece. So I need to get rid of this side. And then I need to recut and sew together another 2 greens and a gold to go onto this side. And my keystone will be done. So I spent last night ripping 64 keystones, or one section of it, off again. And I will get that done. So I will end up with 2 greens and a gold here. So I'm still, nearly 2.5 months later, still working on my keystones and sashing. I mean, this isn't rocket science. This is really quite simple quilting. It's a little bit small, it's a little bit fiddly. You've got to be careful with your 1/4 inch seams, as I have now found out. It's not rocket science. Why is it taking me so long? It's just ridiculous. So I will plan on doing that. And what I will do with that quilt as well is I'm going, because I'm now months behind on my blocks, I am going to cut out a whole load of blocks. I stack them up on paper trays, so that if I get time, I can then just put a block together, because it takes far longer to cut out and then sew together. And if you're halfway through cutting out and you suddenly get a phone call of, right, you need to bring this tractor down to this field, I come back to and I can't remember what I have and haven't cut out and where I am or what size it's supposed to be. So that's my plan for the next month, is to finally finish these keystones and sashing and cut out a whole load of blocks and hopefully get a couple of blocks stitched together, because I've only got 3 so far, and this started January the 17th, so I'm quite a few blocks behind. But on better news, last month I think I showed you I had bought 3 or 4 fat quarter bundles from a shop, and I split them up into lights and darks, and they were fairly evenly split, and I decided I was just going to make myself a very simple half square triangle quilt. And so that is what I've done. So I have a stack here where I've cut them out, I've paired them up, and I am just going through pinning and cutting. So we're getting things like that. I still obviously need to trim these up. So that's one sort of various combinations. Sometimes it's repeated, sometimes it's not. This is going to be, I mean, I think I'm going to get a king size quilt out of this, so I'll be able to spread them out, hopefully. And this one at the moment seems to be repeating a lot. I've obviously just in that section of the fabrics, but and I didn't do it intentionally, but some are going this way and some are going this way, and actually that sort of breaks it up a bit, which makes it a bit better. But yeah, so I've got some pretty, this is just a small selection of the dark fabrics, and then they will end up, I'm going to sort of put them all together. So it's dark light, oh, excuse me. Dark light, dark light, dark light. That's not a great display of how my quilt is going to look. Although at the moment, my quilting skills, it could end up looking like that. So yeah, so I'm just slowly working my way through those. So at the moment, I've just put them together, right sides together. I will pin them, draw a line, 1/4 inch seam either side, and that gives you your half square triangles. And I have a set amount of pins. Once I run out of pins, I then start cutting and reusing my pins for others. So, good stack of them there. So that is that quilt. I've got a quilt to show you, previously finished quilt. Now this is a really, really simple quilt made from layer cakes. I saw a very pretty packet one day to show, and I was trying to work out where the block is. In fact, it's probably, no, I don't know. It's probably easier actually. If you look on the back, you'll see the block. So the block is one entire layer cake piece, and then you cut another one in half, and then I think you cut one into quarters or halves. I can't remember quite now. But that essentially is the one block. That there. And half of this, sorry. Yes, half of this. So you've got, yes, so you've got, what am I doing? Sorry. So this large piece here is your original layer cake piece. And then you cut the others into 4. And that's what you've got there. So if I now show you on the front, you will see that we have different colours. So it's just a very sort of vegetables, farmer's market, sunflowers, checks. Things, if I can get back far enough to show you. It's just sort of, I don't know what you can see, I'm sorry, because I can't see you. Yeah, so there we go. It's very pretty, very simple. I've only quilted it sort of a half cross hatch, I suppose. I've only done one side going across. The back is pieced together from probably, the brown I think came from a different fabric. But some of these are just the other pieces that I haven't used on the front, so I just patched those all together as big squares for the backing. And I have a monk's bench in the kitchen that I keep my recipe books in, and that goes on there. And it just looks, yeah, it's just very pretty, but very, very simple again. You know, a weekend project, just one layer cake and a bit of extra for the backing of a fabric that I previously had. And yeah, it's just maybe, and this was one of my newer ones, so sometimes the fabrics are upside down, but you know, that just makes it more interesting. And then, excuse me, I'm gonna have to reach across here now. My arms aren't long enough. So the 2 quilts in progress, very slow progress for one of them, previously finished quilt, and then I have started to kit up again. The last time I went out, I bought, you've seen this before, dancing chickens and flying pigs from Hatched and Patched, and this is a sort of wool applique piece. I absolutely love it. I'm not the sort of person who goes out and buys things just on the off chance and keep it in store sort of thing. I don't know why, I'm just not. So I didn't have any wool, and we struggled to get woven wool over here in England. But I did find on So Hot, they have a huge range of wool, and they've got lots of different types of cuts, which is really, really good. And so what I actually did was, I wasn't struggling, but I was thinking, how am I going to do this? Because you've got sort of blue here, you've got lots of blues. And when you go to a sort of a shop and sort of say, oh, I want some woven wool, and you're having to buy a fat quarter or fat half for sort of, you know, 15, 20 odd pounds. And you only get the one colour. And I was thinking, you really want different shades or different sort of designs on it to make it look slightly different. So sorry, I'm not explaining this very well. What I found on So Hot, which is a online shop, is you get these fat quarter squares. No, not fat quarter squares. 5 by 5 inch squares. Sorry, I don't know why I'm struggling with this so much. There are 5 by 5 inch squares here so this colourway is tans. So these are different fabrics that have all been over dyed with one colour. So it's fantastic. So you end up with, those two are slightly different, and then you've got a lighter one there. So you end up with the one colour, but lots of different variations of it. So it works. So for example, for the blue, I think I was showing to you earlier, you know, that blue, does look different to that blue. So, but, you know, you've still got blues. So I've got enough blues here. I went through this entire chart and 90% of this can be cut out from these 5 by 5 inch squares. Various things like this spoon, which is very long, or the chair, or the house, I will have to get bigger bits for. Or, you know, for this spoon, which is greys, which I will probably end up using some of these, it won't bother me too much if I end up joining 2 or 3 pieces together. Give me the amount that I need and cutting it out of that. So anyway, so I bought, so these are great. These are woolly charms, 5 by 5 inch, they're called woolly charms, felted, ready to use wools. And as I said, it's just the one colour, then over dyed on different fabrics. So these are the greys. You see, this is the problem, you can't see them all fantastically. Blues. Showing you the tans. So again, I had the pinks for the pigs. So you need 2 pigs. Now theoretically, if I was going to buy 2 different shades of pink, it was going to cost me about £30 odd. Whereas here, you know, I can have various pinks. So I can have 2 different shades of pinks, 2 different types of pigs in pink. I have got goldenrod, this is called, but so for example, for this, I bought this because what I actually did was I thought, well, I'm not going to kit the whole thing up to begin with. Look in the first section and what colours do I need from here, and a lot of the colours then repeat throughout. So this I bought for the pear, but then I can also use these for the star part of the, sorry, for the star part of the balloon. There's a lot for the light bulb. You know, I've got enough different yellows, but they're still yellow. I'm sure I've made my point now, haven't I? Rainbow, so these are just plain. This is a Fab 5 assortment. So I've got greens, purpley, this is strawberry, so we've got different reds, and this is moss, so different greens. But I thought this was just a really, really good way to buy all the different sort of wools, all the different colours and wools and textures that you want for a kit like this. And I bought these from So Hot, and again, fantastic service. The only issue I did have, although now I've seen them, I know what I'm looking at, the only issue I did have is when you actually see them on the website, you don't see them layered like this. It is just like, well, that's red. So and I was sort of thinking, God, I hope I haven't just bought 5 pieces of the same red. But obviously you haven't. So you just have to trust the system. So I am going to intend on starting to start cutting some of those out, because I haven't got enough projects on the go already. So I'm looking forward to that. So I think that's the end of the quilting section now. So if you're leaving me here, thank you very much. Again, I hope you come back next month. Again, please subscribe, please like, leave comments, ask questions. I'm not fantastic at explaining things. I'm really sorry. So if I've just confused you completely, then as I said, please do ask away. Right, my next section is the crochet. Oh, I can't even say it. Can't even say it, let alone do it. If you have been with me from the beginning, and I think there are a few of you poor people out there that have been with me from the beginning, the saga, the never-ending saga. But I will now happily announce that my saga is over. So I think the last time I saw you, I had ripped it out because, again, I just wasn't happy with it. I couldn't get the top line straight. And no amount of fudging was going to make it any better. So I ripped it out and I went back to my trusty safety pins. Now, I've only ever crocheted one piece before, and that was a granny square blanket. And even having done 30 odd squares, I still had to put my safety pin in that initial hole so that I knew where to go back to. I have no pride, I don't care. It works for me. And this was where I was struggling with this. is here on this, because this is the top piece, is essentially you have to go into the correct hole at the top, or into the correct stitch at the top, and I couldn't find it. And so I've now learned to use it, to use the safety pins, so I know when I come back to here, that's what I need to be going through. So I have now got fairly well, I think, back to where I was probably twice now. I think I've pulled this apart 3-4 times, but I am now getting there. I'm really enjoying it. It is really quick and easy when you know what you're doing and you've got your little safety pins in. I did at one point try to include a brown, but the brown was a far thicker yarn, and it was beginning to make everything a bit sort of wiggly, crinkled, wriggly, whatever. And I put a post on it, and I was having to, at the top, because it was that bit thicker, I was having to lose a few stitches. And I thought, oh, I'm going to get into trouble here again, because I don't know what I'm doing, and I don't know what I'm doing to be altering a pattern. So I put a post on Instagram, and unanimously everyone just said, rip it out and don't use it. You're only going to struggle even more. But yeah, so here we go. And I'm basically just going to keep on going with this until I've run out of yarn. And I think Shiloh of Cross Stitch MD has just knitted a very, very similar shawl to this. And I think she probably whacked it out in a week. I've been at this since November, but I will get there. So that's the crochet over and done with. And then any other craft I have actually done. And any other craft this month. I decided to sit down and get one out. And I pulled out this little kit, Rowan miniature. What's it called? Sorry, keep on turning to away. Summer Cow Parsley. It's very pretty. As I said, it was a kit, so it came with the fabric. It was printed on. The pattern was printed on. Now, this is my only complaint with this particular kit. It was printed on in quite thick green. And I don't know if you can see, every now and again that does show out. You can see it. You can't from far away. But when you get up close to it, you can see little green lines underneath some of the bits of thread, which is just a bit annoying. But what I did find out was these French knots were done with a very thick thread, sort of a gold glittery thick thread, and it makes it so easy to do French knots when it's a thick thread, because it just holds its shape that little bit more. So they were fantastic. Yeah, so it's a very pretty little simple piece. It did come with these bits of gauze, which you were, and there's another bit somewhere that I've lost, that you were supposed to melt onto the fabric covering the print. That sounded like that, so it needs to be done by someone far more experienced than me. So I just stitched onto it. I quite like it, and I think I'm going to watch a Vonna Pfeiffer tutorial and possibly make a drum with this. And it's just going to be a little pretty ornament to sit on the side. And in the kit as well, I'm going to show you, but in the kit as well, you obviously got your instructions and how to do various stitches. And of course, any issue with stitches these days, you just Google it, and there's hundreds of fantastic tutorials out there. So I think that is all I have to show you. Oh, 108, I'm so sorry. This is all I have to show you now of my crafting stuff. I will put the gardening video on now. I've already filmed it. I've got 2 little clips. So yeah, so if you're going to stay and watch for that, thank you very much. I might, because this is getting so long again, I might end up having to split these all up. In my gardening clip at one point, just ignore me, I talk about the fact that I'm not watering my flower beds, and I say because I think it's wasteful. Just ignore me. Don't need to start a big argument about that. It is actually raining, peeing it down out here now, which is fantastic. So yeah, so I've got quite a lot to show you in that. So I think that's the end. That is the end. And when that gets to the end of the gardening, it will just cut out. That will be it. I will be gone. You won't have to listen to me anymore. So thank you very much if you've made it so far. I hope to be back in the middle to back end of July and have more things to show you, more progress, and no doubt more purchases and a couple of new starts. What is it? It's June. Have I done? I wonder what I did for January. I can't remember what I said. So I hope I'm going to go for jubilant. I hope you have a jubilant June and a good start to your July. And thank you very much for watching. As ever, like, subscribe, any questions, any comments, leave it down below. I will put various details of sales, etc., hashtags in the description box below. I'm not going to link anything because I'm not very good at stuff like that. But you know, if you just Google it, you'll find it. If I can find it, anybody can find it. Yeah. Take care. See you in July. Bye bye.